Everybody, welcome to the New to You show. This week, I'm one of your hosts, and with me is...
Billy Hartong.
And also...
Parker Silzer.
And...
Adam Moerder.
All right. So, with these guys, Keith is away this week, and Mary and anyone else that's available. I'm the only one available with all these awesome hosts to team up with me and beat the crap out of me, if they so are so inclined.
Is that what this is?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. I didn't
Getting
know.
into it. So actually, all three of these guys are musicians. And so we're sort of having a few episodes about music and making music and the inspiration of that music that you make, and just sort of talking about that and having these guys having listened to each other's stuff and talk about, you know, the newness of listening to someone else's music and sort of coming into music and inspiration a little bit as well. So before we kick things off, though, Willem, what has been new to you in the week?
Well, I mean, yeah, a lot of my life revolves around my daughters. What's new to me this week is my daughter, coming off of Thanksgiving, started watching SpongeBob. And thank God, because I don't think I could take any more Caillou. So that's a good thing.
What's Caillou?
You don't want to know.
I do.
Caillou is a show about a boy named Caillou. It's actually quite harmless. It's just not terribly exciting the way SpongeBob.
Oh, is
I love
it spelled
SpongeBob.
like
Yeah.
Cailloull?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's fine.
He's like a little
teaches
kid.
nice life lessons.
Is he a
in the
tiger
kids'
kid
life.
or no? That's Daniel the tiger.
Yeah, Daniel Tiger is pretty popular. I like them all. It's just the SpongeBob was a nice change of pace, though.
Nice. So Willem is a FAF member from
Yes.
back in the day, and so me and Keith know him from just when we were leaving school. We were putting out the Future Animators, the Future Film Festival, and Willem attended the first one and was quickly inaugurated or given his pen.
Yeah, I branded
his
myself
badge.
that night. It was love at first viewing.
So yeah, and so we'll move on to Parker. What was new to you this week?
Sort of a same old week for me. I spent pretty much every night out at shows this week, which is a little bit different. I was very tired at work. But it was cool. There were some shows to sort of honor the memory of a venue called Big Snow Buffalo Lodge, which closed due to terrible circumstances about a month or 2 months ago. But that was really cool. A lot of like awesome Brooklyn community getting together to celebrate a space that meant a lot to a lot of people. So it was a cool week. Lots of good music.
Were there shows at all different venues, or
There was a show at Silent Barn on Tuesday and a show at Shea on Thursday.
all right? And those are all in like Williamsburg area, or
Both are Bushwick,
okay,
basically. Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Saw some good bands though. Krill killed it. I don't know if y'all know Krill. They were awesome again. And I saw Porches for the first time, who we're playing with in a couple weeks, and was like really impressed. So yeah, good week for live music for me.
All right. So Adam, what was new to you this week?
I am currently reading the new Dave Eggers book called The Circle, and it's a little bit of like a dystopian sci-fi book, but just based on kind of like Facebook and social media. It's like a girl goes to work at this company that is basically like Facebook on steroids, sort of.
I read an excerpt on that in the magazine. Is this the one where they bring her in the office because she's not participating with the company?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's interesting. I can't say it's like my favorite book or anything, but it's very much like a fable, kind of like 1984 or something like that, where it sort of simplifies everything a little bit. But I just thought it was interesting because I feel like we'll probably eventually see a ton of books about like internet privacy and social media and addiction and all that sort of thing. But this is like one of the first that I'd come across that actually like kind of took it on head on. But there's some frustrating things about it. Eggers was like, yeah, I totally didn't research for this book at all. It's like, I've never been inside Facebook offices or Google or, Twitter, etc. And so you're just kind of like, I'm more and more don't believe the world.
So does it seem like a copy of a copy? Like, oh, I saw the Facebook movie, which is a Xerox of the research of the experience.
Well, it's not even about like the genesis of it. It's more like you just enter it and it's just accepted that this thing, the circle, exists, and it's really, like, ultimately it's just all about kind of like privacy and transparency and stuff, and trying to get everyone onto like one network and having all their information on it. And it's more about like big data and stuff like that than it is about like, yeah, more of like a social network thing where it's like people fighting over creating it. But so again, I would recommend it if you're interested in that sort of thing and like the tech world, and you're scared of the tech world a little bit like I am. But yeah.
All right. So before, because I forgot to introduce this, so Parker actually works with me currently at our job. He works with Jules and Mary and me.
Although starting Monday when you get fired,
I know, right? It'll be the end of it. So, and you are like an engineer.
Yeah,
musician.
I record music and write music and play music. I wear many hats, all related to making commercials have pretty soundtracks, so people buy the goods.
All right. And Adam, we've had you on the show before, and you were a writer at a couple of the shows, or on a couple of the shows that I worked at the previous studio. So yeah, and that's
right.
how everyone was doing. And so new to me, I'm not gonna, since I'm not as musician-y, so I won't talk a whole lot, but I'll give in my new to me this week was I saw Catching Fire, which is the sequel to the Hunger Games. It's the second movie in the trilogy. I guess they're making the third book into 2 movies, as is their wont to make money. This one, it was better than the book and better than the first movie, I think, because you aren't in the girl's head the whole time, and that's really the big flaw with the book, was that I found it grating to just be in a teenage girl's head for for pages and pages and pages. It's just, it's just having someone who the book is trying to say is efficient and good at what she does and all this stuff, and then getting in her head and it just being vapid, like, who should I love stuff versus I'm in a dystopian hell world with the oppressive thumb right over me. It just didn't jive. So, but with this one, that's gone. They've spent more money on the city. They've spent more money on the effects. So it's bigger and better.
Yeah, the arena in particular I liked a lot more. Yeah. Like just the whole nature of the fighting and stuff was cool.
Have you guys read it, Willem or Parker?
No.
I've neither read nor seen either book or movie.
I saw the first movie. It was excellent.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. I get a lot of movies on the rebound.
Just kind of catch them up.
Well, I mean, I don't get a chance to go to the theater.
When was the last time you went to the theater?
I don't even remember.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah.
You have to like loan us your kids and you can go on date night.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, when we get date night, that's low on the list. We always talk about it, but we end up going to dinner or wine bar instead, just because, I don't know. Every Christmas we tend to go to one movie. I don't know what it's going to be, though. Probably going to end up being Anchorman, just because
nice.
Something to laugh at.
The campaign for that stuff, like all
That's
the little
great.
viral stuff they're doing, is hilarious.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of that.
There's like a Dodge
Anchorman's-
commercial that
Yeah,
was ridiculous.
Dodge commercials are funny.
And they just kind of zoom in on him, and he's like, "Steal the cash from your grandma or whatever, and buy a Dodge." So weird.
Yeah, they're like the weirdest things on network television right now. I think like there's just one where he refuses to pronounce Dodge correctly, and he keeps saying Joge or something. He thinks that's how it's pronounced.
I look forward to those AT&T commercials too with the kids.
Oh yeah,
I think those are hysterical.
They're just really smart, like the way they're doing it.
I just
think it's
admire
something
that
to
in
check out.
advertising. It's not easy to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's to the point where they had him do an entire like news segment.
Yeah.
At like an Ohio news station or something like that.
Yeah.
Iowa.
Wow.
and he did it kind of straight faced too,
Yeah.
right? Like it wasn't like all jokey and stuff. He just actually like did the news for local.
It was pretty great. So we can move into our picks.
I rest my head on pins pins and needles, a cushion couch or bed. Adjust my needs to what I'm feeling, absorbing what you said. Did you start to get
Well, I got a message to think about one of my own tunes and a song or a band or an album that inspired it. And immediately what came to mind was a song off my latest album called When the Lightning Came. It was a song that was built around the idea of being in a relationship, and you get to that point to where you go, hey, let's move in together. And after you do that, the relationship changes because, I don't know, maybe it just wasn't meant to work out. Living together can be a big leap, so it's just sort of that revelation. And while I was writing it, I distinctly remember, which happens to me on occasion, with two bands in particular. One's Pinback, and the other one is a band called Built to Spill, where as I was writing the song, I'm like, man, I'm writing a Built to Spill song, which was exciting, but also, you know, a little bit frustrating because you don't want to. Then again, you know, you do tend to rip off to some degree, especially from bands that inspire you and make you excited. But I managed to get over that hump, but at the same time, it was a moment where I remembered. So when John asked me the question, those are the two that I thought was the When the Lightning Came, and a song in particular off There's Nothing Wrong with Love called Car by Built to Spill.
So what period of time were you writing this song? Like when?
Oh man, probably about a year and a half ago.
All right. And when did you guys record it?
We recorded it about a year ago.
All right.
Down in Nashville.
Cool.
Which was an odd choice, but it's becoming more rock and roll as the.
What kind of brought you down there?
Well, that's where the management company was. That's where we started looking for producers, and we found one that we really liked. And you know, the tough thing is we did the album before that in New York, which is awfully nice, but because it's convenient. But I found it real fun to travel and stay in the extended stay hotel. Get your own little kitchen.
Nashville's fun. I was down there like a year and a half ago visiting my buddy who's a musician down there and is into that whole like rock thing that's going on in Nashville.
Yeah, it's happening for sure.
Some cool bands coming out of there. I mean, Diarrhea Planet's like blown up now. They're like huge, which is crazy.
Mm.
Yeah. So with this song, or like when you're working on music or whatever, what sort of process or procedures do you find? What do you do? How do you do it? I don't know how to do this. It's like, I know this is like a shit question because there's, you know, someone's like, how do you draw that drawing? You're so good at drawing.
I write damn words.
Man, that looks just like a person. It's like, well, so yes, I'm asking that question, but related to music.
No, related back to, I suppose, what the theme is. Well, I mean, for me, it starts with, you know, a bunch of words or a melody. In this case, the chorus came, and the rest of the song was built around that. I suppose in trying to think, you know, back to the point to where I was saying to myself, you know, this is sounding very Built to Spilly. You can go one of different, and that can freak you out in the sense where, you know, you feel like you don't know who you are, and then, you know, you can run towards it or run away from it, or just trying to find a way over it, which is what I ended up doing, I believe, relatively successfully. But man, I don't know. And as far as I would say, for me, each song is different. Usually it just starts with an acoustic guitar, and then I like to write on big, humongous pads because I draw pictures and things like that. And I like to write big words and cross them out. I've seen people write on laptops. I just can't do it. I mean, not that I think there's anything wrong with that. It's just I need to be able to write with a pen.
Right. So, and do you think your process has been, because this album has been like, what album is this for Breaking Laces?
Well, I mean, minus the EPs, it's number 3.
So do you think the process of writing changed for you, or are some of the fundamentals still the same when you go to write a song? I
mean, yes and no. The funny thing is, every time I write, I always feel initially like, I'm starting at square one. And then when you get going, you realize that, the tricks of the trade and the things that you picked up along the way, that you are better in some degree, but still, to me, it's wandering out into the woods and trying to find something to bring back.
So, and you guys were Breaking Laces as a trio.
Right.
So that's, you're a guitarist, singer.
Yeah, and this one was built pretty much on my own. There are times when I bring in a piece to them and we build it up together. But I pretty much had this one minus the bridge, which is always an interesting question, whether or not to do it, how to do it. But I had this one back to front on my own.
All right. So you two, what was your reaction to when the lightning came?
I'm like a sucker for that organ kind of sound. So that's like one of the things that appealed to me right away. It's kind of like sustained, gritty, slightly gritty organ going through the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was cool the how it varied in arrangement and how it started off very sparse and it was like just organ and just vocals for a while, and it would kind of go in and out of that, and the band, fuller band would come in, and yeah, I thought that was just very neat. Like, used the space very well.
All right.
Yeah, I like that part of it too. I like both those parts.
So here's a question: are we like with this? This is kind of to everybody, and I can start with you, Willem. Is this? I've been in art critiques before, and this is again sort of projecting my personal experience on it. But is this a little bit of doing these sort of interviews or whatever? I mean, you've traveled more and probably done more promotional type stuff, I would imagine, right? So. Taking something like, here's a pick that is a song that we're focusing on. Is this a little bit of like dissecting the baby kind of thing, or?
No, I think whenever it's just like any other album or record. When you listen to something, and this is where critics have it hard. It's tough to listen to something and then really absorb it. There are a lot of albums where I'm sure it's happened to you too, where. You don't like it. I didn't like Kid A at first. I didn't like it at all. But I've grown to love it. And it's odd when that happens. I just think it's hard to... And it happens sometimes where you hear a song and it immediately kicks. But sometimes that reaction leads you to being sick of that song over time. But it's difficult to hear a song and then sort of totally absorb it. So... I tend, I don't know exactly what you're asking, but it's not something that
I guess what I'm kind of saying is like on this. Have I put you guys in a position where we're like
where it's weird?
Yeah,
no,
like are we?
I don't think so.
I mean, we took our pants off before to make everything more casual. And
I mean, my hands are tied to the chair. I can't move, but whatever.
It is weird. The only weird part for me is sitting here and listening to my own song with people around. But whether, and that's not to say. On top of that is, the reaction to it would be, but I don't know. It's kind of like selfies. I don't understand those things either. So.
Well, that's a question. Do you listen to your own music on your own?
After I record it during the mixing process a lot, and then I haven't listened to this album since. So I kind of overdose on it. And when you record it too, man, you hear so much. By the time you get done, there's an excitement, like postpartum phase for me. And then once it's done, pretty rarely.
Yeah, I read an interview with the lead singer of The Strokes who said he like really cherishes that moment between when the song is kind of written and when it's about to be recorded, because it's sort of the last moment you feel like you haven't heard it more than like say 100, 200 times yet. So you kind of still hear it the way like probably most listeners will hear it, and you enjoy it, hopefully. But then as soon as you start recording and mixing, it's just like, it's going to become meaningless to you, like when you say a word 1,000 times straight. Like, and it's just, it's not a big deal, I don't think, at least for me. But
it's nice, though, when you get a bit of that back.
Mm-hmm.
And that usually happens when you haven't heard it in a while.
Yeah, take a break. And
then, depending on in what capacity you are, I mean, a lot of people who are making records nowadays, you are involved in the process. You are involved in the mix. And, I can think of someone like Springsteen, for instance, who's never heard any of his albums. But, that's because someone else is taking care of it for him. But, and I don't know if I could be that kind of person, but there are times where you sort of wish that because, when he's in the mall and he hears his song, he's like, oh, wow, that came out great.
How do you know that that's the case exactly?
Oh, you said it in an interview, so he might be.
Take his word for it.
Wow, he doesn't even okay like a final
I'll
mix.
believe the boss.
I would kind of believe that.
He only cares about his live content, so he's
Yeah.
like, whatever.
Maybe
sure.
I'm mixing
He's
him
just
up. I
he's
could be-
lifting so
I
he can
could be
still
mi-
look good at 65.
I could be mixing him up with someone else too, but
No, I've heard that. That sounds familiar, especially for those older, like very popular 70s and 80s bands. I'm sure.
right.
He's just print it.
Yeah.
Go.
See, like I feel like one of like the essential parts of the reasons why I like making music is like I like listening to it. Like there's something I hear that doesn't exist that I want to be able to listen to, and so I write it and my band works on it, or we write it together, and then it exists, and I feel like I end up listening to my own music a lot because that was the whole point. It wasn't just like, I mean, it is a cathartic experience to some extent, but it isn't just that. It's also like, and you can call it vain or whatever, but like there's a lot of hard work that goes into being able to enjoy this thing that didn't exist before. So, I mean, my favorite part is really when a mix is like, 85% there, and you're
Right.
like sitting with your band and you're like, we fucking did it. Like, we're making this happen right now. Like, we get to, like, this exists in the world, and we get to listen to it, and like the few friends who care get to listen to it. And yeah, so songs get lost and tired in the mixing process sometimes, but they just sometimes it's only a couple months that they need to breathe, and then I'm back with them.
So Willem, when did you start producing or making your own music, or being considered? When would you consider yourself having started down that dark path of being a musician? When did you sell your soul?
I probably not till after college, but I was playing in a band in high school that did quite well actually, and we made a CD, which back then was an anomaly for a band outside of I remember there's only one place that did it, which and it's now become Disc Maker. It was called City Disc back then. So I started when I was like 16, 17. Made a 7-song album, which I love to this day. It's probably one of the favorite things I've done, just because you only get one chance to do that, where you just not where you just make music just without all the other stuff going on. Not to say the other stuff is like overbearing, but it's just pure in and of itself. 16-track analog tape, no idea what the hell we're doing, but loving absolutely every single minute of it. So I started then.
And when did you guys start in Breaking Laces?
It started about 03, 04.
Wow.
And it took a while to get up and running. There was starts and stops.
And unfortunately, you guys just very recently kind of like disbanded.
Yeah, we're done.
Just so you can have like a reunion pretty soon.
No, we just run the course. The last tour was great. We were in a good situation. It was diminishing returns on a lot of different levels, and it was disappointing and sad. But it was time to stop, and for me to do something different. I had been writing in Nashville, and I'm really enjoying that, and starting off on the kids' direction as well. But I mean, I liken us to it's a baseball analogy, but we were a AAA team. We got called up a bunch of times, but never really stayed up with the big club.
Oh, I mean, 9 or 10 years. That's
no,
a
yeah, they
respectable run.
And
So.
so many. I mean, the European tours, especially the UK, were fantastic, and just being on some big bills. Kind of feeling strange in the craft services, but hanging out with who knows who. But yeah, it was fun. It got to the point to where it was banging into a glass ceiling, and that was okay being where we were, because we were able to tour the country and do pretty well. Sometimes even come home with some money, but it was just time to yeah. Especially with kids and a family, man. It's just nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, being away for 6 weeks is just hard.
That's huge.
A lot of driving,
especially like
too.
developmental
I love
stuff.
it. It's just I'll do it today too. I love touring. I mean, as much as it sucked. There's certain people that, you guys ever meet a band who's just like, they're on tour, they're like, I hate this. I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
I understand it. I respect that, opinion of it, because it does kind of blow on a lot of levels. But for me, I loved it. There was, even during the times when it really sucked, I couldn't turn around and say I'd rather be doing something else, because it's an adventure, just unlike anything else.
All right. Cool. Did you tour with a lot of other bands, or?
Yeah, we did. Especially the one from bands we met from the UK.
Mm-hmm.
We did a lot of touring on our own, but we did a bunch of tours with the last one we did was with this band called The Dangerous Summer and Tommy and the High Pilots, and a band called Rare Monk from Portland. And that was a really fun tour. The music was incredibly good, and mid-level venues all over the country. But I've done both.
Nice. What are some of your favorite venues, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh man, around here or just in general?
Yes, anywhere. I mean, I've toured around U.S., but not outside. But I guess Toronto and Montreal. But yeah,
the Reverb in Toronto was probably my favorite. I like that one a lot. We were doing this. It's kind of hard because we did a bunch of really nice venues. We opened for a band, I'm sure you remember, Sister Hazel.
Oh yeah.
From way back when. And oddly enough, they have a really good following.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got a good community. So we tagged along with them. And those venues were fantastic just because, they are what they are. Paradise up in Boston, which is
it's a great one.
Really cool. And I was trying to think of the one in San Francisco I really liked. The one in Seattle, I can't remember the names of them.
I know that. I'm realizing that too.
This tour was nuts, though. I mean, there was one time where we got off stage in San Francisco, and we had to be on. We got off stage in San Francisco, and we had to be on stage in Seattle in 15 hours.
Oh man!
And the drive was 13. There was like 2 or 3 moments during this tour where I'm like, somebody didn't do their math right.
Yeah.
It wasn't always like that, but the reason why I can't remember a lot is because
you probably
it's just sort of like
the West is so brutal with driving too.
It is nuts.
It's,
I mean, that's one of my first extended stays out there, and it's really fun. But man, the places are
especially once you get up to Seattle and Vancouver, because it's like nothing then is really that close, or like to get out of there takes forever. You have to kind of maybe try to go to Utah or something.
Driving through the desert states is you get on a highway and it's not even a highway. It's like a 2-lane, maybe if you're lucky, 4-lane road.
Right.
And you'll pass by an exit, and they should just have a sign that says, if you need to do anything, do it here, because you're not going to see anything.
Yeah, it's Roadrunner.
And I don't mean I mean nothing.
Yeah.
If you break down out there, you're screwed.
We were doing, this was just past this Thanksgiving, we were traveling, we did Flagstaff to Albuquerque and then back like the day after to visit like family out in New Mexico after being at my sister's in Arizona. And there was like coming back, getting low on gas. And, I'm used to the whole like, yeah, there'll be gas soon.
Right, within 15, 20 miles.
But it was like, good thing we were on a downhill run or whatever, because there was no gas at like stations for 2 exits, but between each exit was almost 60 miles. It was nuts. So, we're on fumes, and it was like
just neutral.
Yeah, just kind of coasting as much as we could, and it's
kind of scary in a weird way. It's like a horror movie waiting to happen. But to answer your question too, there's a ton of like smaller venues too that I've come to love. Evening Muse in Charlotte, North Carolina is one of my favorites. Just any place that's kind of small and intimate. And I find some of the people who ran studios or were involved in engineering who put together a good sound system, because it's just like, I heard the expression once, you can serve good food out of the closet, which is kind of my analogy of, if the sound system's good, I don't really care about much else, because that when it's good, it's great.
The first month, man, we breathe so easy. It might have been a fact, 'cause to take the world apart and figure out how it works. Don't let me know what you find out. I need a car, you need a guide who needs a map. If I don't die or worse, I'm gonna need a nap. At best I'll be asleep when you get back. I wanna
It's by a band called
see
Built to Spill.
it
They originated in Boise, Idaho. I ran into him initially through an album called Keep It Like a Secret, which was a little bit poppier than this particular album, There's Nothing Wrong with Love. For me, I don't know. It's just one of these bands that it's just totally into my wheelhouse. Just really good songwriting, interesting lyrics, a lot of emotional depth with ambiguity, and an indie sound that's just real comfortable. I've always had a thing for bands like this too, where it never really made it into the mainstream per se, but have carved out a really good career for themselves.
I mean, they're a name. People know Built to Spill.
They do, but
Yeah.
they've never really been mainstream,
Yeah.
and that's probably by design. Yet they just keep going, and they'll be back at the Urban probably next year sometime, and I'll go see them just because it's an awesome show. And I think what was cool too was going from Keep It Like a Secret, which is a little bit more polished, back to this album, which is a lot more raw, but equally as good, and probably blew me away even more. Going from the just because production can cover up a lot in music, but this is a band where that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but I feel like sort of lo-fi aesthetic can cover up a lot too in its own way.
Sure.
Sometimes when bands go to the next level and have to sound crisper and cleaner or tighter or expected to, and sort of the vibe of the actual audio quality is gone, it just doesn't always hold up as much in the same way. And it works both ways, basically. is
No,
what I'm
I
saying,
know.
Yeah.
I think Pearl Jam has been guilty of that on occasion.
Now,
Diurnal.
do you? When was the first time you heard this song or this album? Or do you have any circumstances around that,
I
or
think
how
it was
did you fall into it? I guess
After
is another
college,
question.
after college, is when I found it. It was up in Boston, I think.
And
I was living up there.
Keith wanted me to mention that you actually turned him on to this album and this song.
Cool.
So that was how he found it for himself. So had you guys heard this album before as well?
No, I don't really know too much about Built to Spill, actually.
I think I also discovered him through Keep It Like a Secret. I have no idea how I learned about that though. But I remember trying. I was saying this before the podcast. I was always trying to find this album at my local, who knows what it was, Best Buy or something, some store at the mall, and I could never find this album at all, or the other one before Keep It Like a Secret. I forget what it's called. We can fully edit that out later.
No,
and
it lives there.
and I remember it was the first days of Napster, and it probably took me 12 hours to download this song, but I got it, and it was incredibly poor quality, and but I loved it. That was great. So, yep.
So you are brand new to this song then?
Yes. Oh, totally.
Wow. So do you think you'd listen to more Built to Spill?
Honestly, just based on this song, I don't know if I'd run home and check out everything, but there were some interesting components to it that could make me easily imagine them having songs that were more appealing to me. There were elements in there that caught my ear, but
Interesting.
yes, I guess that kind of sums it up. It's sort of it's sort of a vibe / genre that isn't the closest to my heart.
Well, this is a question for, Willem and Adam too. Do you think that listening to, this is an album that came out in 94 or something. So, do you think that's that period where, people were releasing albums to be listened to, nowadays we're into singles more. This is that period of time where, still in the albums to be listened to as a whole. Do you think listening to this song out of context might not be as strong, or is that not an issue, do you think? Is this a single? I don't know how to say that.
I probably might have picked a different one if that was sort of what you were, but no, I don't.
I'm not saying that we were supposed to pick like seminal works or anything, but
it is what it is. I think for Parker though, I mean, if I was going to attempt to turn him on to this band, there's a couple different songs, especially off Keep It Like a Secret. Yeah, having heard his stuff, that I think he might be more into. But, and you know, Car is kind of more on the mellow side of what they do, although it has its moments, and so is the song that I picked. So hence the reason why.
I feel like sometimes with bands like this, or I mean, tons of others, sometimes the mainstream picks up on this and starts aping that sound. So it 10 years later, 2004 maybe or so, like Dashboard Confessional are making songs that sound like this, or it's all of a sudden starts appearing everywhere, and it's very influenced by something like Built to Spill. I mean, this happens with the Pixies, like all over the place. Like Nirvana just was like ripping them off. I say that like in a respectful way, but Radiohead was like, and then all of a sudden when you kind of go in reverse, you're like, oh, this sounds like a cruder version of what I'm hearing now anyway. So like this doesn't sound like, sometimes I listen to The Cure, and I'll say that because I feel like The Cure has been imitated so much, or New Order or something like that, or I don't know, you can kind of just keep going back and back, but I feel like that maybe if I were hearing this for the first time ever today, I'd be like, oh, this doesn't sound so unique or so like out of nowhere. But I think remembering when I was in like junior high, and it was like the late 90s, and I was sick of hearing like Creed and Kid Rock on the radio, and I was like, I just want something that feels like a little more like made by real people and not big studio corporations or whatever. And this was like incredibly refreshing, and yeah, and I still like Built Spill. It's funny, like I don't listen to him a ton, but I always usually like to kind of go back and revisit a couple tracks.
It's like soul coughing for me. Every time I go back, I fall in love all over again, John.
Love it. Yeah, so I guess we can go into any last thoughts on...
Dude, are you going to segue? What's your style?
Well, I say we can... we'll kind of wrap this up and then close it out for the week for this episode.
Okay.
But
so we'll see you next week.
Yeah, well, we'll go. Let's do last thoughts first for this.
See you later, John.
This segment, and then so here's a non sequitur then. So like Joy Division, New Order, and like a number of those other bands that were like cropping up in the early
Manchester
80s or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was like England post World War II was like very anti-Nazi, blah blah blah. Like everybody hates Germans, blah blah blah. Which is they earned it or whatever. They're not liking it. So the sort of punk reaction to this, to the sort of like stiff thing, like to get people's like to just kind of prickle people or whatever, is to name your band like New World Order, like Joy Division, like those names come out of a like fascist-esque, like futurist slant. So it's sort of an interesting, like you look at the band names and you're like, oh well, that's cute, but then you look at it more closely, and there's this sort of like we're trying to get the more conservative people's goats by giving our band names this sort of fascist German name.
Also, like even more directly from a musical standpoint, just the influence of krautrock bands that were actually coming out of Germany on these people, like Neu and Kraftwerk and Can, like so directly influencing like this driving minimal sound,
So that's my non sequitur. So Built to Spill, where I heard it first was on a mixtape that a friend had given me, and it was the mixtape that I would have to tape to fix constantly because I played it so many times. But it was just one of those really good mixtapes, and that's what led me down the path to Built to Spill. And I know I listened to more through Keith and Jules and you, Willem, back around that turn of the century.
Yes.
So thanks for the pick. I mean, this is on the spot for everybody. Do you guys think Parker, do you think you'll go out and seek and listen to more Built to Spill from this?
Didn't we already do
Well, he may not listen to any specifically, but do you think, like, honestly, are you going to quit, or are you going to go and listen to more Built to Spill now that you've been introduced to it Have you like
I
any
like
interest
send.
at all?
You guys have my email now that we passed along the music stuff. If you think you've got like something that might nail my vibe after we've had these discussions and we've played music and talked about everything, I will listen to anything. I love all music.
All right.
Yeah.
And yeah. And in terms of now, this is even more terrible, but would you guys go and listen to more of Breaking Laces or Willem's stuff and go find it?
Fuck those guys.
Well, do you have like a zip file online, or is it streaming anywhere like on Bandcamp or anything?
It's on SoundCloud.
Oh, awesome!
Oh,
Cool.
cool.
Yeah,
Radios.
great. Send us the link in the email thread.
You got it.
We've got going. We should name the email thread.
Yes. But yeah, Willem, thanks again for introducing both and allowing us to put your creative nerves exposed to the air and matches.
You're welcome.
Watch specifics on the general idea. I wanna think what I should know. Want you to do me what to show. I wanna see movies of my dreams. I wanna see movies of my dreams.
There are many possible answers, such as hard work.
Feel I'm alone in this whole of existence. I know it takes time, but I'm losing my persistence. The distance is too far to fetch, so I sketch on pages and hope that some catch the thoughts of my inverted word.
All right, everybody, thanks for listening to our first in the music series of episodes in the New to You show. I was one of your hosts, John Holt. Joining me this week, introducing his content, was
Billy Hartong.
you can find Willem online if you want to.
Yes.
And where can they find, like, do you have a Twitter or
Yeah, well, I mean, for
Your
Breaking
band?
Laces stuff, SoundCloud's your best bet.
okay, so Breaking Laces, and you guys have a website too, right?
Yeah, it's still up.
And it's
No, it's kind of an archives thing. I mean, you know, it's only
and it's
been a few months.
breakinglaces.com.
Yes.
Okay. And yeah.
Yep.
And breaking as in like snapping, not
As
like
in-
breaking your car.
Yes. Destruction.
All right. So, and also with us this week was
Parker Silzer.
and you can find Parker on.
Well, you can look at my band,
All
Slonk
right.
Donkerson.
Okay.
I'll let you imagine how to spell that.
And there'll probably be links in show notes or something like that. And Adam, where can people find you?
You can find me at, let's see, probably easiest is adammoerder.com. That's Adam, Moerder.com. And band you can find on Spotify or SoundCloud. It's Mr. Dream.
All right. And you can contact our show directly at New to You Show. You can also leave comments in the forum or on the blog thing, whatever it is, newtoyoushow.com. And if you want to get in contact with me, I'm at Lord Joho on Twitter. Thanks, everybody. It may not be new, but hopefully it was new to you.
Pitiful life is all about the music. This 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 pitiful life is all about the music.
With him together forever, without the limitation of time, ever again. So the second coming of the Lord is not dead.